What is going on, everybody? Voidlego here, back for a brand new episode of Chaos Head Noah. Last time on, we finally caught up to Remy's route, finally, and the split off point is actually very interesting. Before we actually got there, we had a very sweet scene between Takumi and Remy as Remy hugged Takumi, saying, all the things of, I'm going to protect you, and you're not alone in this and everything, which was a very, very sweet scene. But the split off point is when we are confronted by both Sana and Kazupi at the main base, really. But things are a little different as Sana jumps off the rooftop of the building, which sends Kazupi into a murderous rage where, by accident, Remy kills her by splitting her in half, pretty much, which completely and utterly breaks Remy. So Remy drags Takumi drags Remy into the shipping container, and after a while, he goes to check on the bodies of Kazupi and Sana, but Kazupi's body is nowhere to be seen, which is quite weird. When he comes back, he finds Remy is awake, but she isn't how she is. It's kind of like she has reverted back to a childlike state in which she can't even remember her own name. And so right now, the person that needs protecting isn't Takumi, but Remy herself, as she is reverted back to the mental state of a kid. And so I'm curious as to see where this is going to go. So, let's get right into it. Remy, not that I knew whether or not to even call her that, had generally lost all her memories. Or, I suppose you could say this Remy didn't have memories at all.
私はリミって言うの?
God, even her voice is so different.
そうだよ。崎畑リミ。
崎畑リミ。そうなんだ。
From the way she talked, you wouldn't think we were talking about her real name.
あなたはお名前なんて言うのかな?
僕は西條拓海。
Having to teach her something so basic, like day one stuff, was just thinking about where this was going to lead just left me feeling even worse than before.
西條拓海。タクだね。
え?
タク。
It was the same. Her nickname for me was the same.
ねえねえタク。私ね、手がベトベトしてるの。
Oh boy. The dried blood on her hands clung to her skin. The dark red discolored ones on her was Kazupi's blood, or at least it should have been. Her corpse had vanished, but her blood still remained.
ベトベト、やだな。
Remy looked pretty sad as she stared at her hands. I was reminded of Kazupi's smile and was hit with a horrible ache in my chest. Trying my best to hold myself together, I got a wet towel ready for her.
ほら、手出して。
When I told her that, Remy typically held out both of her hands. Using the towel, I started cleaning the blood off of them. Every time I glanced at it, the previously white towel got redder and redder. To make sure I got it all off, I had this scrub kind of hard, so I wiped away the blood, making sure to get even between her fingers.
すすがたい。
Remy laughed cheerfully. She must have had no idea why she had blood on her hands. Well, wasn't she fucking acting carefree? You know what? Clean them yourself. Why should I have to babysit you? And there was no way I could actually say that. Remy had tried her best to protect me, and because of that, regardless of whether or not it had been intentional, she'd killed someone, and then her heart and mind had broken completely. So I couldn't just leave her to fend for herself. After all, I was also responsible for her being like this.
ほら、綺麗になったよ。
ありがとう。ピカピカだ。私の手。すっきりしたよ。
She took my hands, intertwined her fingers with mine, and innocently shook them up and down. She seemed so happy. It was like she was a little kid. For some reason, her smile left me feeling wistful.
ねえ、リミ。君は僕を守ってくれる？
守る？何を？
僕を。
私ね、よくわかんない。
God.
でもね、タコは私のお友達だから私に親切にしてくれるよね。だからね、私タコがいてくれてよかったよ。
It was no use. There's no point talking to her anymore. The Remy who was supposed to protect me wasn't there anymore. I hung my head. Remy wasn't supposed to be here. Where was her house? She needed to go get home. I thought of reaching out to her family, but I couldn't find anything among her stuff with her contact information. If I went to school, the teachers there would most likely know her address. Problem was, it was already fairly late, so I probably wouldn't be able to get in to ask. Actually, now that I thought about it, I didn't really know much about Remy. Where did she live? How big was her family? When was her birthday? What was her favorite food? I didn't know anything about her. And because of that, there was nothing I could do for her. That is true.
タコ。
Remy called my name as she pulled on the hem of my shirt.
ねえねえタコ。私ね、お腹ペコペコ。
What time was it? It was already dark outside and also dinner time. Unfortunately, I didn't have any spare food here. I would have to go buy something.
何が食べたい？
Had she also forgotten about food due to her memory loss? Did she not know what different kinds of foods there were? What they tasted like?
そうだ。私、お蕎麦が食べたい。
Okay.
お蕎麦？
お蕎麦好き。
好きなの？
好き。
なんで？食べたことあるの？
食べたことないかも。でもね、お蕎麦は好きだよ。
Jeez. What was going on? Was she starting to regain her memories, or was her previous self's sense of taste the only thing she remembered? If she got her memories back, I'd be saved. For the time being, though, I had to go to the supermarket and buy some soba.
リミ、ここで待ってて。絶対外に出ちゃダメだ。ミシ。
I tentatively struck the pose the previous Remy had done all the time. I put one hand up against my head as if I was saluting her. Maybe this would make Remy remember. That was my train of thought, at least, but...
石？何？かっこいいね。
Aw. She had no idea what I was doing. Her eyes were sparkling with curiosity, not recognition. So, incredibly embarrassed, I bolted out of the room. On the way to the supermarket, I checked to see if the police were around or not. Just as I thought, Sen and Kazupi's corpses had disappeared. If there were any police around, then it was possible that there had been witnesses, but if there weren't, then that would mean no one had found them. In other words, we might have had some time before we were found out. Of course, I wasn't just wary of the police, but Shogun too. They could show up completely out of nowhere at any time, so I paid extremely close attention to any shadows where he could have been working in. Thankfully, I didn't feel God's gaze at the moment, but even then I still didn't want to go out at night. The darkness scared me. And when I walked through the deepest pits of that darkness, I could faintly see the scene of the dead Kazupi and Senna start to form. Their bodies, mutilated and disfigured, slowly took shape. I quickly averted my eyes and hurried to the supermarket, keeping my eyes trained on my feet. Once I got back to my base, I got the portable stove and started boiling the water for the soba. My container didn't exactly have any form of ventilation, and there was flammable shit everywhere, so it was honestly pretty dangerous. Regardless, I went ahead and tossed the soba into the pot, instant noodles of course. Remy was staring at the noodles with a spark of curiosity in her eyes.
お蕎麦ってこうやって作るんだね。
Yeah? Kazupi's pool of blood was still there. It was practically all dried up now, and since it was nighttime, it just looked like some weird black stain. I broke down all the empty cardboard boxes I piled up and set them over the top of it. I knew it wouldn't solve the problem, but I just don't want to see it if I could help it.
たく溺れそうだよ。
When I heard her say that, I went back to check the stove. It was boiling pretty intensely. I was on the brink of overflowing, but instead of doing anything about it, she just kept saying, whoa.
火を消して。
Don't burn yourself. Mimi tilted her head, then turned the dial on the stove the wrong way. Shit.
うわあ、売れたよ。すごい。
いや、すごいじゃないでしょ。
I frantically pushed Remy aside and turned off the burner. There was hot water everywhere. Shouldn't really have mattered. As long as it was edible, she shouldn't have cared too much about how it tasted or its texture. So I took the pot, drained the water from it, and immediately rinsed the soba noodles. Though it was worth noting that I'd only done so because the instructions told me to, not because I was some master soba chef.
冷やしとあったかいのとどっちがいい？
冷たいの。
Okay. I plopped the noodles into a bowl, then poured it in the base I bought as well. All I had for toppings was some green onion, chopped it up to make a decent garnish, and then it was ready to go. I took Rumi back to my room in a hurry. I'd leave the cleaning for tomorrow when it was bright outside. But right now, I wanted to spend as little time as possible outside, especially since there was still the faint smell of blood out there. It felt as if Senna and Kazupi could show up even now. They'd be drenched in blood, and then they'd start walking toward me like zombies. Sure, that was more base and occult in reality, but it still scared me nonetheless.
ねえたく、食べていい？食べていい？
It was pretty clear that Remy didn't have any of the intense worries I had. Actually, maybe it was precisely because of those things that she changed to an entirely new personality in order to completely erase the memory of having killed people.
どうぞ。
はい、いただきます。
She then grabbed the chopsticks I'd given her. She was holding them like they were a fork, though. Instead of using them, she stuck her mouth on the edge of the bowl and started slurping it up directly. Wow. Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. That's how a wallaby eats. Thank you very much. God damn it, Taku. She must have even forgotten how to hold chopsticks correctly. She also forgot how soba was made and how to turn off a simple stove. And yet she had remembered that it was polite to thank people for making stuff for you. Maybe that meant that her understanding of the world around her had regressed.
食べられないよ。
え？
食べられない。
What? Remy was getting frustrated at her own inability to properly eat the soba. And I mean, considering how she was trying to go about it, of course she wouldn't be able to.
食べさせて。
なん
Was she for real? She was asking me to feed her? I felt like I was her babysitter at this point, or perhaps a dad, but having a daughter the same age as me? Oh god, I didn't know if I could handle that.
たくん
She pleaded with her puppy dog eyes, and since I couldn't really say no to those, I let out a sigh and gave in.
ほらあんして
Aw. Riri took the soba I was holding out to her in her mouth and started chewing it with a smile on her face. She seemed to really like it.
おいしいわ
それはよかった
Suddenly a thought crossed my mind. A laid back, relaxing life with a 3D girl. That was definitely what I was looking for. A life with no overly dramatic eroge-esque plot points. Not having to worry about the heroine's emotional baggage. Not having to worry about having feelings for each other yet being too afraid to speak up. And not having to worry about getting dragged into a murder case. A life that you wouldn't find in books or video games. And yet I had a feeling that this was what I really wanted. And that very life was actually unfolding right before my very eyes. Not only that, but Remy was here with me too. Being honest with myself, Remy was cute. She'd also said she would protect me, and I too wanted to stay with her forever if I could. But this was all fake, a lie. This life wouldn't last. And Remy wasn't Remy. Our time would be far too short-lived, far too fleeting. The thought of it made me feel sad, wistful, and empty.
戻ってきてよリミ本当に戻ってくれ
Oh. I couldn't help but whisper those words.
メールだよボケナス
I was taken by surprise. I'd heard Saratan's voice come from my PC. I just received an email from someone. Was it from Shogun? I had a bad feeling about this. This couldn't be good. I didn't want to look.
僕を見るな
I felt the gaze. Someone was looking at me. Felt even more evident than usual. I looked around me, but there was no one besides me and Remy in this room. My hand had stopped, and because of that, Remy was fighting hard to try and wrestle the soba into her mouth. She wasn't looking at me, which meant that there was no one else it could have possibly been. I didn't even need to ask whose eyes are those eyes. Groaning, I headed for the PC and checked my inbox. Son of a bitch. I'd only received one email, and the sender was Shogun.
くそくそ
What was he plotting now? Was he going to kidnap Nanami for real this time instead of just faking it? Or maybe he was finally going to come and kill me directly once and for all? The fear made all my hair stand on end. The chills on the nape of my neck grew even stronger. I didn't feel any good. My head was starting to hurt somewhat. Don't look at me. With trembling fingers, I clicked the mouse and opened the email.
あれ
What the hell? There was nothing written in it. It was only the subject line, which read Awaken. There was nothing written in the body. Awaken? What did he mean by that? Was he telling me to awaken as a gigglomaniac? You gotta be fucking kidding me. I had a feeling he'd said something similar the first time we met.
バカにして僕を怯えさせてそんなに楽しいか
I was angry, but at the same time I wanted to fend off the fear working deep inside me. I hit the keyboard hard with my hands. The hell? Static came from the speakers. Had I clicked something by accident? Oh shit.
目覚めてもう時間がない
What? I heard something. Mixed in with all that static, I heard something. I heard we checked my PC. The MP3 player wasn't running, and there weren't any videos playing in my browser. I thought maybe Shogun's email had included some kind of virus, but there were no files attached to it.
時間がないんだ
What? Again, I heard it again. It was getting hard to breathe. Drops of sweat ran down my forehead. Oh, I could just turn off the sound. If I did that, I'd stop hearing this extremely weird static. I opened the sound settings in the bottom right corner of the mouse, then I checked the option to mute everything in the volume mixer. Once I did that, I wouldn't hear anything. Wouldn't have to listen to that static nor anything else resembling a voice within the static. I was extremely tired, freaked out, but of course I was. It had only been 2 hours since 2 people I knew had died right in front of me. Not to mention the weird stuff I'd seen at the hospital when I'd gone to visit Elise, or the strange calls from the Nami. So I had to just be mishearing something amid the static.
目覚めて
What the fuck? A voice.
時間がないんだ
What the fuck? Was coming from the speaker.
もうすぐサードメルトが起き
Shit. I clearly heard it. It was him. That had been Shogun's voice. The same voice that talked to me at Scramble Crossing.
なんでだよミュートにしたはずだろ
タク、サードメルトって何？
Remy, acting just as she had been for the past couple hours, tilted her head as she looked at me with innocent eyes. I came up close to her, grabbed her by the shoulders, and shook them.
リミ頼むよしっかりしてよ
痛いよ。
Aw.
言ってくれ僕を守るって言ってくれよ僕は一人じゃ耐えられないこのままじゃ殺される
痛くしないで。
僕は君を責めないから君がいてくれないと困るんだだから
痛いの。やだ。
Tears trickled down her face. It was scaring her. Every couple of seconds, her shoulders trembled. I slowly let go of her.
頼むよ目を覚まし
Ah, shit. The forest started shaking violently. An earthquake is bigger than the last one. Fuck. I was struck with a violent ringing in my ears. It was such an intensely shrill, resonant sound, my head felt like it was about to burst open. It felt like my ears were being pierced by thousands upon thousands of needles, as though my brain was being stirred into mush by a blender. And then... Son of a bitch, here we go again. I was hit by an enormous impact, and a blinding light dyed my vision completely white. I was washed with an elusive feeling of being immersed in lukewarm water. The waves gently rocked me back and forth as I drifted along its surface. Here. As I slowly opened my eyes, a vibrant blue sky spread out before me. It feels almost like I could fall into it. It was a rather strange sky. The sun was nowhere to be seen. Even though I was supposed to be in my room, even though it was supposed to be nighttime, when could I have possibly gone outside? When could it have possibly turned the day? With the last earthquake, I'd been out for more than an hour. Maybe this time I'd been unconscious for the entire night, I thought to myself. I remembered the earthquake's tremendous impact, yet another elusive feeling hit me, like the tremors were resonating with the very blood coursing through my veins, threatening to burst open from the inside. Maybe this was heaven? Maybe I died in that earthquake. Heaven, huh? There was no way an otaku freak like me would go to heaven. I wasn't even mentioning how I hadn't even been able to save my own little sister. How I'd been the worst possible brother to her. How I made Ruby kill Senna and Kazupi. Hell would be a far more fitting place for someone like me. Although obviously I'd choose heaven if I could. My body didn't feel quite right. I was being overwhelmed by a sensation of waking up on top of a walking on top of a fluffy cloud. I couldn't quite understand it. But regardless of how I felt, I forced myself to get up. The feeling of being rocked by the waves hadn't simply been my imagination after all. This was a world with a never-ending surface of crystal clear water. A world where, no matter where I looked, blue filled my view. And I had been right in the middle of it, lying down. Where was I? Was this really heaven? But I felt like I'd seen this scenery before.
あの空はどこにあるの？
A voice resounded within my mind, a voice which rose from the depths of my memories. Right, I remembered now. I'd seen it in a dream before. Remy had been there. I had talked to her as she looked up at the blue sky, her face cruelly one of holding back tears. Was I seeing the same dream as I had back then? But no matter where I looked, there was no one other than me. There was no one here, not even Remy. It was far too reposeful. Remy? I tried calling her name, but my words were entirely mute, and yet even without sound they created ripples across the calm surface of water. Are you there? Sound was a series of vibrations, and those vibrations in turn created waves. Among those waves, just like I had been a few moments ago, there was someone lying down. I stood up. My field of view expanded. The one drifting along the waves was Remy. She was so unbelievably pale. She appeared as if she was dead. Her eyes were closed and both of her hands were resting gently on her chest. And she simply stayed that way, facing up to the sky, not moving even a single inch. Remy, wake up. Even though I called out to her, she didn't react. She was dead. I knew that for certain. But it wasn't just her. The world itself was dead. And so I just stood there, not knowing what to do. Right at that very moment, Remy's prone body gradually sank beneath the surface of water. As soon as I realized what was happening, she was already completely submerged. How was I standing on top of water at all? I wondered. Curious, I fixed my gaze below the water's surface. Beyond it, there was only darkness. The sky was so bright, and yet, even though the water was so clear, below it there was only eternal darkness that seemed to swallow all, and Remy, still lying on her back, was slowly sinking farther and farther into its depths. I had to go after her. I needed to wake her up. But as soon as that thought crossed my mind, even though I had been able to stand on water until then, all support suddenly disappeared out from under me. Oh shit. Beneath the waves, I sank. My body grew heavier with each passing second. It was like I was underwater, but it wasn't as though I couldn't breathe. The water was very warm too. I just wanted to drift within this comfortable sensation for all eternity. That was the way it made me feel. If I had to give an example, rather than ocean water, it was more like amniotic fluid. This very well might have been how a fetus felt inside its mother's womb, yeah? I thought the darkness continued forever, but in truth, there was a bottom to it. It was so dark I couldn't even see my feet. I simply felt an odd, sticky sensation on my soles. I stood in the middle of the darkness. When I looked up, I found I could no longer see the surface. That blue sky, too, had been veiled completely by the darkness. Whoa. The sole source of light was a single ray that descended down from above like a thin thread. Much like a spotlight would, it pointed to a single place. And yet, unlike a spotlight, there was nothing beneath it to be illuminated. It only lit up a meaningless spot. Nervously, I stepped into the light. It was ever so faint and gentle, but the moment I bathed in it, my chest began to ache. What was the sensation? So this is very interesting. It's obviously expanding on this kind of place we've seen multiple times, both in Remy's dreams, and also it's the same place where Takumi awakened his gigomaniac powers the first time around with Shogun. So this place obviously holds very significant meaning. It's kind of like hell. It kind of actually reminds me of the final world from Kingdom Hearts 3, and its design and waste of a clear blue sky and tranquil water and the like. But it's very interesting of how it, on its surface, is bright and beautiful, yet beneath it is darkness. And I guess you could say that about, like, I guess that could be a metaphor for the world itself, of how the world can be so beautiful and pretty on the surface, but once you go inside of it, once you go beneath the surface, you see just endless darkness and the like. Or maybe it means something else. It felt almost as if I could cry at a moment's notice, as if my heart itself was being rended. That was the sensation that overtook me. Where could Remy be right now after sinking all the way down here? Relying on the faint white source but alone, I made my way out from beneath the spot of light, then searched the darkness. Soon my toes hit something soft and yielding. I kneeled down and this time tried touching it with my hand. What I felt was so cold it was capable of freezing my very fingertips. Little by little, my eyes adjusted to the darkness, and before long I realized something. I was touching a person lying collapsed on the ground. Remy. Wake up. I tried shaking her. Remy, wake up. But there was no reaction. She wasn't breathing. Taking her feeble hand, I measured her pulse. She was dead. She had no pulse whatsoever. Dismayed, I strained my eyes to examine the surrounding darkness, only to find that she wasn't the only one. What? Countless other Remys were collapsed on the ground, almost as if this place were a burial ground. And every single one of them was dead. This was a graveyard, the graveyard of her heart. That was how it felt to me. Suddenly, countless bubbles sprang forth before my eyes, and within each and every one of them I could see different visions being displayed. An instinctual realization came to me, and I knew then that these were Remy's dead memories. Oh. Son of a bitch.
私の最初の記憶は落ちてくる雨と空を覆い隠したどんよりとした雲。
How long ago had that been? It was around the time I was just in elementary school, or maybe 6 years ago. It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous. In it, I saw my dad, whose head had been blown away, and my mom, who had been crushed completely by steel right next to me. Even though only a moment prior we'd all been celebrating inside the car, happy as could be about our family trip. The enormous truck had closed in on us. Before I even knew what was happening, the car I'd been in had been completely flattened. Oh my god. I had then been struck by intense pain, and my consciousness began to grow blurry, feeling as if my very body was being torn apart. The sharp squeal of brakes played an endless refrain from my ears.
「次の記憶は手術台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
I wondered how long ago that was. It was right after losing my parents, maybe 5 years ago. It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous.
担当医に剣のようなものが見えたと言ったそうですね。聞こえていますか？
I had a feeling someone had called my name, but I could no longer recall what exactly that name was, for it was now a dead name.
まだ傷が癒えていないようですね。ご両親が目の前で亡くなったのもショックでしたか。では聞いているだけで結構。私はこの AH 東京総合病院の名誉院長でありスポンサーでもあるノロセと言います。
What? Excuse me? I was thinking to myself like, man, this voice kinda sounds familiar. Where the hell have I heard it before? Get itchy?
君はギガロマニアックスである可能性があります。
Damn.
ぜひその力に覚醒していただきたい。
Jesus.
幸いにも君は天涯孤独になったので親族などの煩わしい連中も湧いては来ない。というわけで君は今日をもって死亡扱いとなりました。以後この地下室で過ごしてもらいます。
God damn.
何の心配もいりません。ここは私しか知らない部屋ですから。頑張って目覚めてください。期待していますよ。君は実験台です。力を持つ非覚醒者を目覚めさせるためには何が必要か、いろいろと試させてもらいます。明日からね。
I continued to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling, for I hated the dark more than anything. Jesus. That's why she knows so much about this
次の
search.
記憶も手術台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
Jeez. I wondered how long ago that was. Having been locked in the basement, I had lost all sense of time. It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous. God.
実に我慢強いお嬢さんですね、君は。背中の皮膚がただれて血が出ているのになぜ耐えようとするのです。早く目覚めれば楽になるというのに。
God. I continued to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling. For if I did so, my vision would be rendered paralyzed, and it would soon all be over without me having to see anything more. God.
次の記憶も手術台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
I wondered how long ago that was. Having been locked in the basement, I had lost all sense of time. It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous.
痛いですか。
Jesus.
皮膚の表面を切るだけですよ。
Jesus.
血はたくさん出ますが死ぬほどではありません。
Jesus. Jesus.
3日も放置すれば可能してかゆみがひどいことになるでしょう。そこからが今回の実験の本番です。
God, you fucking bastard.
安心してください。私は医者なのでね、メスの扱いには慣れています。そうですね。10箇所ほど切り刻みましょうか。
Jesus Christ. I continued to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling, For if I did so, my vision would be rendered paralyzed and it would soon all be over without me having to see anything more. God damn it.
次の記憶も手術台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
Jesus. I wondered how long ago that was. Having been locked in the basement, I'd lost all sense of time. It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous.
そうですか、かゆいですか。しかし、引っかくことは許しませんよ。
Jesus Christ.
人というのは実に不思議なものでしてね。痛みは意外と我慢することができるのですが、かゆみはそうでもないのです。痛みよりもかゆみの方が精神をおかしくさせるには効果的かもしれませんね。
God. I continued to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling, for if I did so, my vision would be rendered paralyzed and it would soon all be over without me having to see anything more. And then I killed my own self. Fuck.
次の記憶も手術台の上から見た眩しい光と
How many
男の人の声。
fucking memories are there? I wondered how long ago that was. Having been locked in the basement and lost all sense of time. It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous. Oh my god. Oh.
左上腕はこれで粉砕骨折というところですか。
Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't. Please. Please. Jesus Christ.
まだ目覚めないとは、一体何が足りないのでしょうね。しょうがない。今日の実験はこれぐらいにしておきましょう。ゆっくり休んでください。
God. I continued to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling. For if I did so, my vision would be rendered paralyzed and it would soon all be over without me having to see anything more. And then I killed my own self. No, come on, dude.
次の記憶も
Oh my fucking
手術
god.
台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
I have to say, this game's fucking use of repetition is really good. Due to the fact of like it's torturous. It's torturous amounts of repetition. It's over and over and over again, and it's like you're begging for it to stop. You're begging for it to just end already. Which I mean, it's a hell of a way to put ourselves in the shoes of the character. I wondered how long ago that was. Having been locked in the basement and lost all sense of time. It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous. What the fuck?
ウォーターボーディングはアメリカ
Oh my God.
CIA がつい最近まで拷問方法として用いていた 最も安易で最も効果的で最も苦しませることができる技術です。
Fucking waterboarding.
いわゆる水攻めというものですね。わずかな水の量だけであなたに溺死した錯覚を味わわせることができるのですよ。21世紀においていまだにこのような古典的な拷問を行っている。
Yeah.
実に面白いではありませんか。
God. I continue to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling. For if I did so, my visions would be rendered paralyzed, and it would soon all be over without me having to see anything more. And then I killed my own self. God.
次の記憶も手術台の上から見た眩しい光と
God.
男の人の声。
Just, it's over and over and over again. I wondered how long ago that was. Having been locked in the basement, it lost all sense of time. It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous.
私は麻酔を扱うのはこれが初めてなのですが、
Jesus Christ.
どうやらうまくいったようですね。気分はいかがですか。君は今首から下が麻痺している状態です。
God.
自分の体を思うままに動かせないというのはストレスのたまることだと思いませんか。とりあえずその状態で1年ほど過ごしてみましょう。1日に1度点滴で栄養を与えますから心配はいりません。
Oh my god.
では良いお年を。
Oh my fucking god. I continue to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling. For if I did so, my vision would be rendered paralyzed, and it would soon all be over without me having to see anything more. As I remained there, I felt like I saw something amid the white light. Something that looked almost like a pair of wings. And then I killed my own self. Oh, she's almost there. Also, I'm pretty sure that's what happened to Swath in like 7, the movie 7.
次の記憶は手術台の上から見た眩しい光だけ。
Jesus. But what I mean of like under anesthesia for an entire fucking year. Fucking Christ. I wondered how long ago that was. Having been locked in the basement, I had lost all sense of time. It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous. I can't ever imagine like being paralyzed for an entire year and you can't move your body at all. No matter how many times I called out, no one came to me. Nothing moved, and I couldn't move anything, not even a twitch of a finger. Simply stared vacantly at the light hanging from the ceiling. There was nothing else I could do. As I remained there, I felt like I saw something amid the white light, something that looked almost like feathers flitting about. And then I killed my own self. God, this is fucking horrible, man. Just over and over.
次の記憶も手術台の上から見た眩しい光だけ。
I wondered how long ago that was. Having been locked in the basement, I had lost all sense of time. It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous. No matter how many times I called out, no one came for me. Nothing moved, and I couldn't move anything, not even a twitch of a finger. Sippy stared vacantly at the light hanging from the ceiling. There was nothing else I could do. As I remained there, I felt like I saw something amid the white light, something that looked almost like feathers fluttering about. And then I killed my own self. Dude, oh my god.
次の記憶は手術台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
I wondered how long ago that was. Having been locked in the basement, I lost all sense of time. It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories are not continuous.
実に醜い姿ですね。
Jesus Christ.
1年もの間、そこで横たわっていた気分はどうですか？
God, you fucking bastard.
己の糞便にまみれ、
Oh my
骨と
god.
皮だけの姿となり、
Jesus.
尊厳を奪われた気分はどうだったのかと聞いているのです。
Jesus Christ. God, that is, I think that is pretty much what the fuck happened to Sloth in 7. Like exactly. Of, like, put, the main killer puts this guy into anesthesia for an entire year, and he oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ.
ですが
Oh
安
my
心して
god.
ください。
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
殺し
Alright.
はしません。
God.
この実験が始まってそろそろ3年になりますか。
Jesus Christ, for years.
私はね、君のことが愛おしくてたまらない。かけがえのない存在ですよ、君は。
Oh my god, dude.
ギガロマニアックスを強制的に覚醒させることはとても難しく時間がかかる。
Fuck you.
ですが、君には早く目覚めてもらいたいのです。
God, Jesus Christ.
期待していますよ。さん
I continued to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling, for if I did so, my vision would be rendered paralyzed and would soon all be over without me having to see anything more. As I remained there, I felt like I saw something amid the white light, something that looked almost like feathers fluttering down, together with a pair of wings. And then I killed my own self. I don't know how much I could fucking take of this. Fucking Christ. I need a second. Fuck. Dude, this game, I don't know what the hell it is. Like, is it the sound effects? Maybe the descriptions, or I don't know what the hell it is. But like some of these scenes in this game can make me really fucking nauseous. Like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the repetition, or maybe it's my vivid imagination, or what. But just the mental image of these fucking things is so goddamn nauseating to me. It's like, holy shit. Like, goddamn, man. Holy fuck. I'm alright. I just need a second. What number was my current self? That's enough. Make it stop, please. Yeah, exactly. Like, even I myself am getting like, holy fuck. That's enough, please. Like, holy shit. Like, I don't know how, but this game is actually, like, when it really wants to, like, torture you, like, I feel like it can actually really fucking, like, torture you. At least it makes me a bit fucking nauseous to my stomach. And I have a pretty good stomach. Like, I feel like I have a pretty good, like, iron stomach. I watch horror movies a lot of the time. I mean, I watched Saw as a kid. So it's like, I don't think I'm that, like, my stomach is that weak, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know, the way this game fucking does it is so, like, it does the same things over and over again that it makes you nauseous, you know? Like, jeez. To think there was such a tragic past behind Remy's smile. I took one of Remy's corpses that was lying on the ground and brought it close to my chest. It was terribly cold, and I could tell it was devoid of a soul. But even so, I needed her. I want you here with me, Remy. I then wished and crafted a delusion. Wake up. Please wake up, Remy. You're the only one who can save me. I know this is selfish of me, but I need you to protect me. I know this is presumptuous of me, but even though I'm a total loser, I feel like I can change if I'm with you. So please, wake up, Remy. The next thing I knew, I found myself in the blue-filled world again. Waves ran across the surface of water, and then slowly rising up from the depths were countless Remys. Every one of them had their eyes closed and were standing still as could be on top of the water. Eventually, they started moving. However, they didn't do so using their legs, but simply glided across the water. One Remy then overlapped with another, and that same one overlapped with yet another one. Oh shit. The Remys are merging together. Dumbfounded, I just stood there and watched. She's coming back. Eventually, there were only 4 of them left than 2. And then the last 2 Remys slowly melded together, became one. Her eyes opened, and then she looked at me. Could this Remy have been the one I knew? That Remy? Or was it an entirely different one? I didn't know. I was afraid to call her name, so I waited for her to say something. But instead of speaking, she showed me a warm smile. Oh. Raising her hand to her head, she struck her usual pose.
リミなんだね。
Mimi nodded, and then she embraced me. I buried my face in her chest. The feeling of her soft, supple breasts spread across my cheeks. Gravity soon disappeared, and the 2 of us began drifting along the blue. Lying on the surface of the water, Remy held me as she gently stroked my hair. I couldn't describe how wonderful that felt. It was as if the very essence of all of her kindness and warmth was enveloping me. It reminded me of how I felt when my mom hugged me back when I was a kid. How safe I felt in her arms. I wanted to stay like this forever, but at the same time I wanted to confirm for myself that she really was Remy. So I turned my head just enough to look at her face. Even with that horrific past behind her, she still had the brightest smile. Remy, despite looking like she was about to cry, still made an effort to show a smile. She entwined her fingers with my hair.
キスしようか。
Before I knew it, my chin had forcibly been raised slightly. A captivating aroma filled me, and something warm and tender pressed up against my lips. Right before me was her face. Her eyes were closed, and I could feel her soft breaths. So this was a kiss, so sweet and so present. Felt like my brain itself was turning to mush. From just a kiss alone, my heart was filled with love for her. An otaku freak like me depended on her so, yet even still desired her everything. I closed my eyes and engraved that sensation in my memories. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my room. Remy was lying down on the floor with me still in her embrace. Slowly she parted from my lips.
ただいま。
うん。
Remy was acting shy, something I found incredibly cute. Our eyes met. The two of us were blushing hard. Had girls' bodies always been soft, huh? Ready for the win. Finally, even I got a real girlfriend. Nobody would ever call me an unpopular otaku freak ever again.
約束したもんね。タクを守るって。
僕を守ってくれる。
守るよ。タクも、タクミも、ナナちゃんも。
What was she trying to say? Ignoring my confusion, Remy averted her gaze from me and looked up at the ceiling.
前は、タクミに心を救ってもらって、今度は、タクに心を助けてもらって、だから、今度こそ、私があなたたちを守る。
I still didn't understand what she meant by Taku and Takumi, but what I did know was that if she was there to protect me, I wouldn't need to worry about anything anymore. She was a Guo maniac and she would keep me safe. No matter what Shogun had asked her to do, she'd be able to pull it off. As long as I was with her, that'd be enough for me.
私、頑張るね。頑張って、罪滅ぼしもするし、あなたたちからの恩にも報いるから。
Atoning for her sins. Was she talking about what she'd done to Senna Kazupi? If that had been legitimate self-defense, she hadn't had a choice, and that should have been how she fought about it. But what felt far more strange to me was how she said you both. Who else did she mean?
だから今は、眠って、タク。
I could feel the vibrations coming from her body at her every word. Even now her fingers are still stroking my hair. I felt so at peace, so very sleepy. Reveling in the happiness of falling asleep in her arms, I closed my eyes. Holy shit. Oh, give me a second. Holy fuck. How the fuck this game can go get me from, like, acting a bit nauseous to actually making me fucking, like, bawl my goddamn eyes out is amazing, really. Holy shit. Oh my god, that was so good, man. Oh my god, that was so fucking good. Jesus Christ. Dude. Holy fuck. That was so fucking good. Oh my god. This fucking game, dude, this fucking game, man. Holy shit. It's so fucking good. It's so good, man. Holy shit. It's so good. It's so good. This shit is so good. That whole fucking scene was great. With Takumi able to put together Remy at the very end, and because of that, able to get her back, and then they kissed, and it was beautiful. It was satisfactory. You know, two broken people able to find comfort within one another. It fucking warmed my fucking heart, man. God damn it. Holy shit. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Alright. 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 By the time Sakahata Remy left the container, the world around her had changed beyond recognition. A city of death. That was the most fitting description. Countless buildings littering her surroundings had collapsed, and those that had avoided such a fate had deep cracks ripping through them.
サードメルト、これほどだなんて。
手遅れだったよ。野呂瀬源一は予定より早くノア2を本格的に稼働させた。
Following that voice, a boy in a wheelchair appeared before her. This old building was not wheelchair accessible, and yet, despite the fact that it should have been impossible for someone in a wheelchair to ascend to the roof on their own, there he sat. But Remy showed no signs of being surprised by his appearance.
元の君に戻ったみたいだね。
元の私なんていないよ。どっちかっていうと、タクが望んだ私に戻ったっていう感じ。
Yeah, crafted a delusion.
タクがそう望んでくれたことはさ、すごく嬉しかったけどね。
彼はまた理想度なしで力を使った。もう少し追い込めば覚醒できる。
タクのことはそっとしておいてあげて。
It is so ironic, isn't it? Both the villain and kind of the protagonist are forcing someone to awaken their powers, but the only way you can do that is by breaking a person. I like that. I like when stories utilize that type of thing of like trauma unlocking their powers. It's actually something that's explored in Warren actually, which is a great web novel. If you haven't read it, it's really fucking cool. Where the power system in there is you only awaken to your superpowers via trauma and shit like that, which creates such an interesting character dynamics. You know, of like, well, there's a reason why most people are supervillains is because, you know, their trauma fucking awakened their powers, and therefore, you know, because of that, they have bad memories attached to their powers, and I like it's also handled that in this story of like, what happens when you go through the worst day of your life and you gain a fucking weapon. Like, what would happen to a person if that happened, you know? And I love the kind of different avenues this story goes to in order to see how that would play out. I like it a lot. It's really good. Cutting his words short, Remy spoke with intense conviction.
ノア2は私が何とかする。ナナちゃんも私が助ける。あなたも死なせないよ。
君一人じゃノロセに対抗はできない。それに前から言っているけど、君は普通に生きるべきなんだ。
タクトね。約束したんだ。
Looking up to the overcast clouds, Remy gave a fleeting smile.
私がタクのこと守るって。
Oh.
だから行くね。ビシッ。
リミ。
Walking past the boy in the wheelchair, Remy proceeded down the stairs. The boy, deciding not to follow her, or rather being unable to, sank deeply into his wheelchair and let out a great sigh.
自分を犠牲にするつもりなの、リミ。
God damn it. Why must it always end in tragedy? Damn it. Noah, too, the bringer of calamity, or perhaps the creator of a utopia for humanity. Whichever it was, it meant nothing to Remy. Whichever it was something Remy had to destroy. Noah 2's location was already a known fact to her. Mutual recognition, soundly yet tactfully planted into the people's consciousness. Despite it being right in front of Shibuya Station, despite the building having been demolished years ago, it was there, with none suspecting a thing. No one even tried to go inside. Remy opened the door toward the former planetarium, where no signs of human presence could be found, and stepped inside. Yumi's eyes went wide at the scene she saw before her. There stood a device that was beyond enormous. Enshrined in the center of the dome-shaped room, it could be described only as a monster. An ominous sound rang faintly throughout the spacious room. It was a low-pitched noise akin to the deep growl of a beast, a sound that signified the device's operation. Noah 2. Nishijou Nanami was being held captive right next to the device. Her uniform was torn, and a bandage soaked with blood was wrapped around her right wrist. Her head hung toward the floor, and she looked terribly pale. Faced with such a pitiable sight, Remy was at a loss for words. Crucified, in Jesus of Nazareth's likeness. No, what held her now could not be called a cross. It was something far different, for it took the shape of a pure, unadulterated malice. The entirety of this world's evil, the entirety of this world's disorder, the entirety of this world's immorality. It would be no exaggeration to refer to it as a symbol sculpted to those very attributes. Keeping her guard up, Remy swiftly checked her surroundings. There was no one else there besides Nanami. She found no traces of the man who had prompted the development of Noah 2, the man who had performed ruthless, torturous experiments on her, Norose Genichi. Although surprised by that fact, Remy prioritized Nanami's rescue and ran toward the taboo crucifying her.
ナナちゃん、しっかり。
Rolling Nanami from the tabloid, Remy sighed in relief after confirming she was still breathing. First and foremost, she had to get Nanami somewhere safe. To achieve this end, Remy went to pick her up. However, oh fuck. Shit! Intense pain surged in her back, as if something was gouging out her very flesh. Remy vomited blood that stained Nanami's uniform.
久々の再会だというのに、私には挨拶もなしですか?
God, fuck you. Enduring the pain, Remy turned her head. Norose Genichi was standing right behind her, and in his hand was the tabloid that had been clasping Nanami only a moment ago. However, it was not a tabloid, but a sword. Norose Genichi's sword. That very blade was now piercing through her body. Norose slowly drew his hand back. The sharp blade of his sword bored into her body, slid through her flesh, and scraped against the surface of her bones. Her body arched in involuntary spasm, spurred on by the sharp, agonizing pain as her body was slowly being sliced apart. God.
痛みには慣れているはずでしょ
Jesus Christ. At last, Norse's sword released her. The torrent of blood came gushing free. Every nerve in her body was screaming out in agony. Even now, she felt as if she was about to pass out from the sheer pain.
その娘は西条匠をおびき寄せる貴重な餌なんです。勝手に連れて行かれては困りますね。
Jesus. Mimi was well aware of the magnitude of Norse's powers as a gigomaniac. She had been imprisoned by the man for over 3 years after all. In a fair fight, she would not stand a chance, and in this situation, he would never let her go. The mere idea of doing so would have been unfathomable to him. At the very least, I have to make sure Nana-chan escapes. The taste of blood spread through her mouth. She was continually assaulted by the fierce urge to vomit. The open wound on her back was hot, as if seared by flame. The sheer pain coursing through her left her unable to move. Blood was still rushing out without pause. It felt as if her consciousness was about to be severed. It was so terribly cold. Her eyes grew hazy, and amid her fading vision, she saw what resembled a scornful smile forming on Norse's face. This might be it for me. Remy couldn't envision a delusion in which she managed to escape from this man's clutches. Only despair governed her heart.
僕の力をあげるよ。
Oh shit. It was a voice Remy knew very well. Nichijou Takayumi, or the boy presenting himself as Shogun. The voice came from a distant place. If defined, it was in a manner akin to thought transference. In other words, telepathy, a feat made only possible by gigomania.
僕の最後の妄想を君に。
Shit.
匠。
君にこんな辛い役目を任せてしまってごめん。もう余計なことは言わない。君の意志を曲げることは無理だって分かったから。死ぬつもりなんだね。
If there was a way to fix things without dying, I would have done it.
彼が目覚めなかった以上、僕にはどうすることもできない。だからせめて僕の最後の妄想を君に。
何言ってるの？あなたはそんなことしなくても。
Even though he had no presence in this place, Remy shouted at the person she was speaking to.
君だけを死なせるわけにはいかないよ。すべての元凶は僕なんだから。
だって
もういいんだ。リミ、ノロセを殺してほしい。ノア2を破壊してほしい。僕がサポートするから。
Rumi's teeth sank into her lip, and she wiped away her tears. Despite it growing more and more distant with every passing sound, she did everything in her power to hold on to her consciousness. She wheel-booted her disc sword. Countless fluttering feathers came falling down. Cradling Nanami with one hand, she held her sword in the other. The dripping sound landing on her feet conveyed the terrible amount of blood she had lost. The bleeding had yet to stop, for her wound was one that would never allow it to. Oh shit. A single slash of Norose's disc sword, one capable of bringing down all that stood against it. Ruby took the blow with her sword as she covered for Nanami, but their difference in weight proved fatal. Ruby could not take one of Norose's blows head-on with her small build. She was blown backward and she slammed into the wall behind her. A crack tore through the wall of the planetarium's dome.
わざわざ生かしておいてやったというのに恩をあだで返すとまたいたぶられたいのですか
Naruse slowly walked toward Remy. His face was one of pure, unending confidence. Every facet of his being stood high above, looking down on her with great delusion.
変態だよね。だって
Remy grinned, but her smile was a strained one. And then, for some reason only she could have known, she swung her sword toward the cracked wall behind her. Oh shit. The wall collapsed, exposing the scenery of the outside world. It was raining. Dense rain clouds coated the sky.
逃げようと
逃げないよ。でも
Remy sat Nanami down on the ground, releasing her from her hold. Still holding her sword tight, she wrapped her arms around Nanami from behind.
アナちゃんは関係ないでしょ。
Oh shit. Remy crafted a delusion, a single dazzling ray of light. By the time the light had subsided, the ring-shaped disc-sword Remy held was no longer there. In its place, snow white feathers had grown from Nanami's back. Oh my god. Pure, untainted wings enveloped the blood-stained girl. It was a gruesome yet unendingly beautiful sight. Her form was like that of an angel. Nanami was unconscious, yet as if they had a will of their own, the wings that adorned her began to flap. Remy parted from Nanami. Deeply bemused, Naruse watched as Nanami flew up through the giant hole that had been opened in the planetarium. Slowly and steadily, she glided through Shibuya as the rain incessantly poured. Now unarmed, Remy watched as she flew.
アナちゃん無事でいて。
理想道を妄想によって翼としたのですかそれで君は逃げないのですか
Naruse already had Remy within range of his own disc sword. He could send her head flying with a simple swing. Nevertheless, Remy stared right back at him, bereft of all fear.
まだ逃げられないよ。
Fuck yeah.
あなた殺さなきゃいけないから。
From her pocket, Remy retrieved a cross with a dark sheen. To be precise, however, it was not a cross, but rather a stake, the same as those that had been used in the crucifixion case. That very moment, Remy had just rebooted one. Upon witnessing this display, Naruse could not help but raise a scornful laughter.
私を殺すそのようなおもちゃでですか随分と舐められたものですね
The blow was far too fast. Naruse's disc sword, far longer than he was tall, and at a speed fought unthinkable within mortal constraints, tore through Remy's flank. Only when her body had already began to stagger from the slash did she realize she had been cut. God. Remy collapsed, screaming at the top of her lungs from the sheer pain. Naruse's attack was not one meant to kill. He could have killed her whenever he wished at this point, but he intentionally refrained from doing so. Approaching the writhing girl, he trampled down on her arm. Repeatedly alternating between pained breaths and gritting her teeth, Remy eventually stopped moving, for she had no other choice. The tip of Naruse's enormous sword was right up against her blood-drenched back, but he had yet to pierce her with it.
もう一度聞かせてもらっていいでしょうか
God damn it.
やめませんよ
In light of her request, Naruse pushed his sword forward with great strength. God. The tip of his sword further gouged the flesh of her blood-stained body, clawing even deeper into her. It was as if she was pinning an insect for him to display.
それで私を殺すと言いましたか。それとも私の聞き間違いでしょうか。
Yet Remy, still lying prone on the ground, reached for Norose's wig with one hand and grabbed onto it. She clung to him as tightly as she could. The depths of her teary eyes harbored resolute flames of determination. They glared at the scornful man from below.
殺してあげる。私があなたを。
Oh shit. Pulling his sword out from her, Norose kicked Remy in the jaw with all of his strength. Jesus. Her body tumbled across the floor like a ragdoll.
しばらく会わないうちに実に不愉快な人間になったようですね。すでに君は用済みです。利用価値があるかと思い生かしておきましたが、もういりません。
God. Remy was on the verge of death. She tried pushing her body up from the floor and crawling towards Norose, but without her disc sword, being unable to walk, she might as well have been already dead.
私に生意気な口を叩いたことを後悔しながら死んでいってください。例えばそうですね。これから30年ほど私が君に毎日拷問を施してあげましょうか。妄想の中でね。
Jesus Christ. What? Norose's lips twisted, keeping the collapsed girl surrounded by fluttering feathers within his sight. He formed a delusion. He strengthened his grasp by this disc sword and opened his channel into the direct sea. The particles and antiparticles needed to materialize this delusion had now been created. And from those two collections, only the particles, through the signals of light that were established as sight, were sent into Sakahara Remy's dead spots.
それを待ってた。
Oh shit.
何
Whoa, fuck! In a single instant, the fluttering feathers transformed into eyes. Until this very moment, the only eyes watching him had been Remy's, but now he was surrounded by an innumerable number of floating eyes.
その目。誰の目？
It was the last illusion Takumi had bestowed upon her. Fuck. Holy shit. The particles Norose had sent were impeded by the countless eyes, rendering them unable to reach Ruby's dead spots. Those eyes connected to the direct sea discharged many anti-particles. An indomitable defense which cancelled out the power of a Giguromaniac. Only because he was Nishijou Takumi. Only because he was a Giguromaniac powerful enough to create a human. Only because he had exhausted the final embers of his own life. Could such a monstrous delusion have been rebooted? Oh my god. Astonished by the eyes surrounding him, Norose gulped. No matter where he looked, there were only eyes watching him. Not only did their numbers refuse to dwindle, but they grew with no end. They burned Norose's entire field of vision, and then they moved in toward him. Norose was instinctively overwhelmed by intense fear. Gritting his teeth, he swung his disc sword. The cut eyes gushed blood, closed their eyelids, and vanished. But right behind every eye, there was another. No matter how many he cut down, their numbers remained the same. Let them all look at you, you son of a bitch.
それならもう一生目を開けなければいい。
Norose suddenly felt a great pressure in his chest. In the very next moment, signals of pain sounded in his brain. As if they were a cloud of mist clearing away, the eyes that surrounded him all vanished without a trace. Before Naruse's eyes stood Remy, and in her hand was the cross-shaped stake, lodged deep in Naruse's chest. And thus, that was his end. Like a fucking vampire, he had to be stabbed through the heart with a stake. I guess, yeah, like a fucking vampire. A Giguromaniac that wanted to awaken other Giguromaniacs via pure torture and endless despair. And wanting to create his own perfect utopia. But yeah, kind of like a vampire, trying to create his own fucking world. And the only way you could kill him is stake for the fucking heart. After confirming Naruse's death, Remy fell to her knees, debilitated. Ugh. She was bleeding terribly, her face pale as porcelain. She was barely even conscious now. Pained, irregular breaths seeped from her mouth. Her eyes no longer saw anything. She could still faintly hear the ominous sounds of Noah 2, designating its status as fully operational. I guess I've got no other choice but to entrust someone else with destroying it.
ごめんね、タク。
Aww. In a faint, almost inaudible voice, Remy whispered into the air.
約束守れそうにないみたい。
Aww.
ナナちゃん助けたから。それで罪滅ぼしなんかにはならないけど、助けたから。
Aww. Remy Schweighöfschwei raised her face. There should have been a section of the planetarium's wall that had collapsed. A section through which the sky should have been peeking. But a few moments ago had been veiled completely by a collection of rain clouds. And because of that, she could only wonder. Her eyes no longer allowed her to confirm its color, but Sakata Remy showed a faint smile as she looked up to the sky.
あの空をあなたともう一度見たかったな。
Oh.
タク、ありがとう。
Son of a bitch. And I think this is a good stopping point here, folks, as maybe fucking the first like 5 minutes of the next episode we're gonna get to the ending of this one. But fuck, man. Oh, that fuck. Now, Genichi's a son of a bitch, man. Like, I knew he was already a son of a bitch, but like, Jesus, fuck him. Fuck him, dude. Like, fuck Genichi, man. Fuck you, man. Now it makes sense why Remy why she killed her previous versions of herself, because she had to in order to mentally, like, save herself. You know, of like you have to, like, if you went through the same shit she did, of course you would kill those memories by any method you can. Because that's torture. That's just pure unending torture, and it was beautiful when fucking Takumi used his delusion to bring her back together in order to wish her back. And then they kissed, and it was beautiful, and god damn it, and that whole battle sequence of Genichi was so satisfying, with all the fucking eyes looking at him for once, judging his sins. Whose eyes are those eyes? Oh, it's so fucking good. This round is pretty fucking good. I knew it was going to be good because it's Remy, but god damn, it's so fucking good. Holy shit. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, hit a like button. When you tell me something, put it down in the comments below. When you check out the Discord server hang out in, or my Twitter, check description below. And yeah, it's been Voidlego. I'll see you guys next time. See ya!